Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. He came to Jericho and intended to pass through the town. Now a man there named Zacchaeus, who was a chief tax collector and also a wealthy man, was seeking to see who Jesus was. But he could not see him because of the crowd, for he was short in stature. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree in order to see Jesus, who was about to pass that way. When he reached the place, Jesus looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down quickly, for today I must stay at your house." And he came down quickly and received him with joy. When they all saw this, they began to grumble, saying, "He has gone to stay at the house of a sinner." But Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, "Behold, half of my possessions, Lord, I shall give to the poor. And if I have extorted anything from anyone, I shall repay it 4 times over." And Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man, too, is a descendant of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save what was lost." The Gospel of the Lord. I'd like to invite up to the ambo Nathan Carls. Nathan is the coordinator of the middle school ministries here at Good Shepherd, and he's only in his first couple of weeks of ministry, so we're very thankful to have him here this evening.
Good evening. Thank you guys for making it a priority to come tonight on a Friday evening to share in just Eucharistic adoration. It's been a beautiful night so far. I wanted to just reflect on the gospel we just heard verse by verse and just share thoughts that I had while reading it. He came to Jericho and intended to pass through the town. Right off the bat, we know Jesus was on his way somewhere else, but he was destined to meet this man Zacchaeus. A man there named Zacchaeus, who was a chief tax collector and a wealthy man. Next, we learn of the man we are talking about here in this gospel, Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus is a tax collector, and as you know, tax collectors are wealthy, but also low in social class because of how they're perceived by the rest of society. Nobody likes them, basically. Verse 3 says, he was seeking to see who Jesus was, but he could not see him because of the crowd, for he was short in stature. The first thing that popped out to me was this word seeking to see, or seeking to see who Jesus was. There was a desire in his heart from where he was in his current state of life. He had made it to being very wealthy, but he was still very, very curious. He actually, we see in the next verse, he ran. It shows just absolute urgency. It also says that he is short in stature and cannot see above the crowd. I was wondering kind of how short he was, but I wanted to read into it and kind of pull out of the text what it might mean. He is of the world in a sense. He is entrenched in daily life, stealing money from the people there. becoming very wealthy himself. He was, again, as we say, made it, but he ran ahead to climb a sycamore tree because he was short in stature. There was a need for him to kind of rise above what the world said he was, what he could see in his own eyesight, because by his own ability, he could only see what was right in front of him, which was just the people that he stole from, not more. So therefore, he ran, again, with urgency and climbed a sycamore tree in order to see Jesus, who was about to pass that way. Again, as I said before, he was going somewhere, but he was also destined, very destined to see this man Zacchaeus. A sycamore tree has long, hanging, wide-spreading branches. It was a place for him to perch. And when he reached the place, Jesus looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down quickly, for today I must stay at your house." First, he called him by name, which is, we hear that many times. Jesus does that many times in the Gospels. But every time it's very interesting because, at least in my mind, I picture somebody that is very famous, seeing me in a crowd as I want to look at him and he looks at me. My favorite basketball player of all time is Tracy McGrady. I love basketball so much, and I could imagine Tracy McGrady saying to me, "Nathan." I was like, how would you know my name? So I would be so startled, amazed, surprised, and taken back. But Jesus knew who he was, and he called him by his own name. And he said, "Today I must stay at your house." What I read in that when I read that was, today I desire to fully enter into your life right now. Then there's this image of the home, right? The home, at least my house, right now my room is messy, or not as nice as it could be. And I believe when he asks to stay at our house, it is including the mess. It is including the baggage. It is including your kids who don't clean up their dishes. It is including the clothes that are on the bed, but also the wreck, the absolute disaster that sometimes can be in our hearts, the brokenness that can be dividing people. He wants to enter into that because this house that he is asking to stay at is a very intimate place. What did Zacchaeus do? He came down quickly, and he received him with joy. A question I want to propose tonight is, do I receive him well or at all? Verse 7 says, "When they all saw this, they began to grumble, saying, 'He has gone to stay at the house of a sinner.'" So again, there's this world this world image of who Zacchaeus was, this sinner. But they don't say his name. They call him a sinner. And Jesus calls him by his name Zacchaeus. What Zacchaeus actually means is pure and clean. Zacchaeus is pure and clean. But Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, "Behold, half of my possessions, Lord, I shall give to the poor, and if I have extorted anything from anyone, I shall repay it 4 times over." And Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to your house, because this man too is a descendant of Abraham." A lot to break down here. In Jewish law, whenever someone has stolen something from someone, they had to give them back that exact amount in addition to 1/5 of its value. So like 20% more, like an interest, I guess. What Zacchaeus does is he pays it 4 times over, so 4x the amount he owed to them. This is a complete surrender from what he had, what he's built up, what he's stolen, like a release. And then he also calls him a descendant of Abraham, which again is this righteous lineage going back deep into the Old Testament. Again, relating to this identity that Zacchaeus means of pure and clean, this righteous identity. The very last verse, for the Son of Man has come to seek and to save what was lost. You must pull yourself above the world, like Zacchaeus did, above the attachments, the things of how you want the world to see you. The Lord wants you, the identity that he's given you as a son and daughter, and not this facade that we put up by our possessions, by what we say we are, right? The Lord, our Creator, does not care about our isms. He doesn't care what we ourselves prescribe to, our political beliefs. Whether I like minimalism, having very little or whatever minimalism. I'm also vegan, so a lot of vegans are very attached to their veganism identity, when the Lord doesn't really care about all that. The Lord wants your whole self. He just wants your faith in him. He desires your soul. This reminds me of a C.S. Lewis quote. Almost the main work of life is to come out of ourselves, out of the little dark prison we are born in. It is our goal in life to come out of ourselves, to see the more, not just within our own our bubble, within our own minds. We are called to serve. To know, love, and serve the Lord is the meaning of life. It's part of our discipleship wheel that is here at Good Shepherd. It doesn't matter how close or far you are, Jesus Christ is pursuing you in your heart, and you cannot help that. What you can do, though, is decide how you want to receive and respond. Just like Zacchaeus, he did it quickly, he did it urgently, he did it joyfully. One of the ways you might find doing that is creating a sort of rendezvous point in your life, in your week, a place where you can escape in a way back to the Lord, back to this identity, back to this call that we speak of here tonight. And we all need it. We are not perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. The only thing that is perfect, though, is the God made man that is in the center of this room tonight. Find a way to be with him. The last thing I want to leave you guys with is just actually an announcement. Starting this Sunday, the 18th, from 5:30 to 8:30, we're actually going to be having Eucharistic adoration available. So if that is of interest to you, feel free to email Maria Upperman at maria.upperman@gmail.com. But again, it doesn't have to be that. There you can email her for signing up for an hour. But again, if that time doesn't work for you, there's many times in your day to get away, in a sense, to clear your mind, to let go, to detach. This is what we're called to. This is the mission of our life, to be one with the Lord. Thank you.